to lead us with an opening prayer. Siqalise enkosini.
Asikota masimina makhanda baba sazulweni wawazi ukuthi ilanga leli lizafika asokuhlakanipha kwethu nguwe ngoza kokhela umhlangano lo baba sazulweni usinike ukuthi yonke into esikhuluma lapha ibe iza baka lokhumbi ibhola lapha eZimbabwe baba siyakubonga leminyaka yonke le osibenika mina ngokwami ngicela ukuthi ama leaders wonke abancane abasebelitha ibhola ama administrators ubakhokhele ubabusise babe lempilo ezinhle bengaguli beze balungisa ibhola lapha eZimbabwe kodwa ekugcineni nithi siyakubonga ukuthi wasenza ukuthi sibe ngabantu sonke lapha nxa ukuthi wasenza saba inkukhu ngathi wasaqeda kudliwa ko chicken yini amen.
Yeah. If Banebasa was a person, then you know who that person is. Thank you, Tano. Right, allow me for now to introduce, in his capacity, he is the editor at the Sunday News, Lemugani Ngube, for the welcome remarks and introductions.
Salbonan, Linjan, Yapila. Alikangeleki njengabantu abaphilayo, maybe because alike PF, you know. Yeah, because namhlanje we took you to another area, you know, where you are not familiar. Yeah, you know, there is this story that what an eagle does to conquer its prey. Yeah, it tata pants and then it lifts its puzzle, you know, up in the air, because the eagle fights better my puzzle. So that's what we decided to do, to take you guys out of Powerfield Stadium and bring you this side where there is aircon and some mics, you know, and some TV cameras and everything, you know, things that are not familiar to Mpangweni la Soweto ngale. But anyway, to cut the long story short, allow me to welcome everyone who has taken their time to be with us this morning. This is just but one of the many initiatives that we are trying to do as Sunday News, as Zimpepers, as the largest media group in the country, to also play a role in making sure that sport and football in particular is free from violence, and that it takes its place, you know, as a family sport and as family entertainment. It's something that is very dear to us as Sunday News, because we are a family newspaper. We believe that sports should be family friendly, and football in particular, which is the most followed sport in the country, if not in the world. It should be ideal for families to go to Powerfield Stadium and enjoy a game of football and thereafter go back home without any problems. The last time I went to Powerfield Stadium, I went there with my son, a 15-year-old. And from the very onset in the morning, the mother was against the idea of me going with her son to Powerfield Stadium. You know, kept on saying, no. But the boy was eager to go and watch football, I suppose because he had spoken to his friends from school and they had agreed that they will go and watch football. So eventually we went there and watched football, and the rest is history. But what I can say is that evening, I was the quietest person at home. I had no powers because it was all nguchelile, you know, you know, and I had no defense, you know. Very well, you know. So, women, mabenga winning to, you won't see the end of it. Yeah. So it is against this background that we decided to host this football Indaba against football violence, against violence in football. We hope that with all football stakeholders here present, including the owners of the game who are the fans, we will be able to come up with meaningful pointers that will help policymakers in making the beautiful game free from violence. I will not take much of your time as there are experts in each area of deliberations. My task was just to welcome everyone here present. But before I sit down, I want to acknowledge our anchor sponsors, Nokel Security, for availing resources so that we can come here, meet and discuss this topic of violence in football. I have already received a lot of calls from Fire Zarare with many people from even higher offices who are interested in this kind of discussion. And I can assure you that this is certainly not the first and last. More dialogues are going to take place. So without wasting much of your time, I think we can now start our proceedings. But we are very, very grateful that the PSL CEO, Mr. Ndebele, is here. The SRC is also represented here. ZIFA is represented. Clubs are represented. Highlanders, Dynamos, Flower City, Chicken Inn, they are represented. Islanders is represented. And Usiziba is here as well. And also carrying another hat as well with his colleagues. We are very, very grateful to the presence of the Zimbabwe Republic Police because they are key stakeholders when it comes to sport management and event management in the country. Without them, they are like referees. So they are very, very key stakeholders. So let me hand you over to Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Ngube. Yesterday, I was at Lufeve Stadium watching a team that talks too much on Twitter, being humbled. Then this gentleman, Ubonu Usiziba, Wang Donsele Tuziwati, Katindot, Uchomlo li police. Anza yembone gqoke uniform, ngathi baza kubopa. Right, for now, so mele siyazane. There is a microphone that will Nancy Lam. So please allow me to ask you to introduce yourself and which cap you are wearing today.
Salibonani lonke, mini kamalami Pensen Tube, marketing officer, Nokel Security. Siabo.
Morning everyone. I'm Atwell Katandika, Nokel Security.
Salibonani, na Tamsanga Ndovu, mbuyele Nokel Security.
Salibonani, mna umkhulu Lisband, ngisebenzela Sunday News.
Sabonani, mina ngithulane Dube, support enkulu yeHighland.
Salibonani, mina ngu Ronald Moyo, Chief Executive Officer wa Indaba.
Isithole yazi. Ujoshua Mkauko Station yazi. Sky Metro Radio waiza. Islanders uyayazi. Then Cosmos Tsano Zulu. Nga ungawazi into ezingu-5 ko hambe ekhaya kodwa usapho kwakho zakutshela mina ngiyamazi.
Salibonani, mina Faith Mloyi from the referees.
Salibonani, igama ngumlindeli Ndebele from the referees.
Salibonani, ibizo Shadrack Kutsanzira, Highlanders fan and also aspiring football administrator.
Salibonani, Lihle Swanda, Mvele City Council, girls and women's clubs.
Salibonani, Gama Kosiyavuma Sivela, Seat of Bulawayo. Salbonani, mina ngu-Blessing Zengeni, ngiyi-resident ye-Baba Fields, ngihlala duze kwe-stadium.
Salibonani, mina ngu-Amos Banda, ngiyi-resident ye-Papa Fields.
Salbonani, mina nginguWinnie Katambarare, ngiyi-resident ye-Baba Fields, just next to the stadium. Thank you.
Salibonani, mina ngitafadzwa Chirimo, Dynamos fan.
Salbonani, mina nguJane Banda, ngihlala eMzilikazi duzane le-stadium. I-stadium sabe sisikhangele sisendiswa.
Salibonani, mina nguRuthendo Danda, i-Dynamo supporter.
Morning, Muriwe Jimbari Bora.
Salbonani, mina nginguWalter Taranike, ngingu-National Vice Chairperson we-Dynamo Supporters Association, here today representing Dynamos FC.
Magadi, my name is Matthias Taderera, Chairperson Blawayo Metro Supporters Association, today representing Dynamo Supporters Association.
Salbonani. Na Stanley Swanda. Ngisupporta eBhoso. Siyabonga.
Salbonani. Mina Elisha Taurai. Ekuqaliseni mina I was a Highlander supporter. Silinda wethu Soweto, but ngenxa violence it is now difficult for me to support any team. I support all the 16 Premier League teams because ngabona ukuthi kuzanidalisa nzima kakhulu. Ibhache engiliqgokileyo ngisuka ku Chovambayo, I'm one of ama directors oko Chovambayo.
Sawubona lonke, mina ngujabulani Bulubisa, abaningi eBulawayo bazithiwa ngoSnoopy Toes. Then iphinde ngibe one of our executive members awe Arenal Football Club. Nginjalo ngiyisupporter enkulu from emncane. Ngitshengisa baba muthi ibhora kufanele uthande Highlanders.
Salbonani, mina nguVictor Mpofu, umunye wama-residents khonapha koBulawayo.
Mina nguBhinqobe, umunye wama-residents khonapha koBulawayo.
Salbonani, ngingu-Inspector Abed Nico Ncube, spokesperson of Bulawayo Province.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Superintendent Enoch Chishiri, Superintendent Crime and Operations Bulawayo West District, where Baba Fields Stadium is located or situated. I'm also representing the Officer Commanding District as well as the Officer Commanding Bulawayo Metropolitan Province. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now that we have cleared the air on who is here, there's a table at the back.
Sergeant Swanda from the police.
Salbonani, Constable Muza from Sedarapi, Kumal.
Siabong, it's also quite impressive to see a Dynamos and the Highlanders fans sitting next to each other, but at least talk to each other. Linga Zondelan.
Sawanan, even the Lamuelis Kumalo, Moy Highlanders.
Siabong Amelus. Right, ideally it's supposed to be the beautiful game or the world's most beautiful game, but at times there are scenes that kulabanye abangakazi introduce.
Salbonani, ina igama lami nginguThulani Sibanda, ngiyi-football fan. Ngiyabonga.
Njengoba ujaha weBulawayo Chiefs sekhulumile, mina lami igama nguNkunkala ngowe-Chicken and Football Club, angisapoti iHighlander.
Ngisakheleni Nximalo, I'm a football writer, I'm coach with East Rovers, the third oldest team koBulawayo.
Mina ngu Brighton Ncube, I'm a compliance officer at PSL.
Thank you. Uthulani Sibanda lo uqamba amanga phambi kwamapolisa. Can you imagine how embarrassing that is? He is the guy that is in charge of all the Twitter handles that you see at Bulawayo Chiefs. And unfortunately, he supports Bulawayo Chiefs and Manchester United at the same time. What a time not to be happy. Right, please note we are also live streaming on Facebook, Sunday News Zimbabwe. So please put on your happy faces in case bakufone bathathu zondelene. And then ablution facilities. Ngapha sesivalile. Please exit ngalaphana and then turn right. You can either use the Sabelo Studios facilities or a casino. But we advise that if you go into the casino, please do come back. And then may I ask that we put our cell phones on silent or vibral so that we just have a flawless workshop. That said, allow me to introduce our first speaker. He comes from the Sports and Recreation Commission, and he's the man in charge of the Southern Region, Mr. Tswimbu. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Events Director, Yilton Mabise, Salibonani Bagit, Linjana Bantu bemidlalo. It was my expectation, Events Director, that I will also see people from cricket in this room, possibly see also people from handball, athletics. In short, I'm talking about sports in general, because I'm sure the issue that you saw fit that we gather here to talk about pertains to the sport industry. But in any case, this is so particular with football. So I will also tone down to football. But of course, I will touch here and there issues to do with sport. Yes, I've been introduced as a representative of the Sports and Recreation Commission. I'm sure I found it fit that I start by highlighting what's this animal that is called Sports and Recreation Commission, so that we are all at the same page. The Sports and Recreation Commission is the regulatory board or authority that regulates sport in this country, Zimbabwe. It is there by a way of an act of parliament, which was enacted in 1991. It's chapter 25.15. So when we talk of chapters, I'm sure the police are here, then it becomes a relevant topic to talk about, because it means it was put in place after it was seen that we need to make sure that this good sector, good industry of sport, is an act that covers it. The commission is a technical arm of the government of Zimbabwe. And also, just to be clear, it represents the government of Zimbabwe. It does communicate with government through a line ministry. And the line ministry recently put in place is the Ministry of Sport, Arts and Recreation, headed by Dr. Kes Coventry. What does it mean? It actually shows that government is keenly interested. It has an invested interest in the issues to do with sport. Hence, to set aside the ministry, an act or the commission that looks into that issue. Our bigger role is to coordinate, superintend over the sports sector. We also work with various associations. We also work with clubs directly. Those that require to be helped in terms of seeking the best coaches. Say you are just community clubs who are coming up, they need to engage qualified coaches. So we align them with the respective national federation so that they get the best person to coach their team. We also look into the education, sport education issues, which also cover all these issues possibly that we are here today. Largely we look into administration. When we have a sound administration of sport in the country, it actually relates that everything that follows should be also sound and good. We also look into issues to do with sports medicine, critically on the technical aspect of sport. We train up to level 2, and then people will join into universities and continue to further from there. We are also in conjunction with the NAST, we offer a diploma in sports studies, which also largely cover those that are technical managers and the sports administrators at various levels. So largely the SRC is there to protect myself, Mr. Siziwa here, Fungai here, Mr. Ndebele here, the residents of BF, the residents of Mzilikas. It thrives to protect the publics as well of this country in terms of those issues that will be bridged out in terms of them, in terms of sport. They have a right, and their right is within that act. It also covered the rights of the sports organizations or sports institutions in the country, which we refer to as the sporting organizations. It also covers and protects the rights of the workers who work in the industry of sport, not as a union, but within their rights, in particular as citizens of this country. It covers the clubs themselves. Largely it covers everyone. So what it means, what it is there for is that when it is contravened, it can be revoked, either through the law enforcement arm, that they can come in and act and enforce where the law has been broken, hinging or much supported by the act. However, sport industry has got specific custodians according to the national sport codes or federations. So in Zimbabwe, we do have up to 63 sport codes that we superintend over, including your Zimbabwe Olympic Committee. At one time, it was here in the ZITF. I was manning the SRC stand. Next to us was the PSL. Then people came and they were saying, yeah, we have a question. And I said, what's your question? They said, yeah, you guys from the Sports Commission you have been giving us a raw deal. Where is the ZOC stand? We want to tell them what you are doing so that they will deal with you. So I'm trying to make it clear that ZOC is an association of sport federations that are superintended by SRC. So the only sports supreme board in the country is SRC before the central government. Yeah, I'm sure that point is very clear. We were so happy that Sunday News came up with this idea of having an Indaba on the issue of violence in sport, but in football in particular. We are so worried. However, because the sport custodians that I've talked about, who are various national sport federations, are charged with proper administration of the various sports that they lead. And it is our expectation as the Sports Commission that those that are given the role and responsibility to lead within these various sport codes do also their part on behalf of the sector or of the sport code and also on behalf of the whole country. SRC cannot be touched, neither can it be touched through me, but through all of us. Our acts, how we behave, how we conduct ourselves, what we do, spells about the sports sector in this country. It also spells doom for the whole sector in terms of economic vibrance of the sector. So what it means is all of us in Shona Kwanzi iwene nitine bas. There is no one who can stand aside and say, "Ngokwabo lokhu." It's all of us. I'm happy there are supporters here. Abanye baze bachiya ukusupport iHighlander, sebe supporter all the 18. They are 18, not 16 in the Premier League. Abanye bathi basupport iDimbare, abanye izakamuzi zelokuzenzem BF and Mzilikazi, where almost every Sunday of late, possibly towards the half of this season, we were having almost 4 or 5 games at BF. And we can imagine the torture that they go through, not of violence, just the torture of the vibrance of Baba Fields, because people are enjoying football, isn't it? But possibly at times, they will be having other business to do or to deal with. Why violence has gone so high now? There is need of this conference so that we deliberate and we open up and we highlight and sicebisane bakithi honestly. Sport industry is really largely leisure, where we are supposed to really save our hard-earned income and go and enjoy so that we go in distress. That's the whole idea. To get in those places we go, many of the people who go there are passive followers of sport by way of following what is happening and relaxing in those areas. Sport is supposed to be a family event, largely football, which is followed in every corner of this country. You go to every part of every ward of the 1,972 wards. They've just increased from 63 to 1,972 wards in the country. People know of football. People also in every part of this country know of our largest and biggest teams in terms of football, which is Highlanders and Dynamos. I was surprised in April we were in March Central for the Independence, where these two teams met. And as I was just making rounds in March Central, I was amazed by the number of supporters of Highlanders who could speak fluent Ndebele in Mount Darwin. You get the point? The beauty of sport, the beauty of football. So as a people, as a citizen, as a country, I'm sure we have that big role to preserve all the beauty that our sport actually carries. Our sport is the muscle towards nation building, which is so important for us. Any nation that seeks to thrive economically requires peace. And we have so many facets that the government should use to make sure that peace building is there. And sport is one large issue. Hence, the government seeing the importance of setting a stand-alone ministry so that issues to do with sport are convincingly covered, convincingly represented, and also receive enough share through into cabinet and at all levels of decisions. I'm sure there are so many factors around which we are going to deliberate on. Factors to deal with the bleeding economy of the country that we cannot beat about the bush. But what is the role that sport can play when the economy is at the stage at which it is at? How do we make our sporting events or sporting facilities, very much conducive for those that are stressed because of the bleeding economy so that they could go there and enjoy? And we could pass on the baton of what has been happening by way of making sure the youngsters, like what Limkano was talking about, are also part of the grand observation of sport events. But as long as the prevalence of sport is at that level, then it means we are shooting ourselves in the foot. Ladies and gentlemen, the government, central government, is seized at the moment with making sure that we come up with legislation and the laws that cover. Remember, I said the act is there to protect every public, which I'm talking about every citizen, whether you are actively involved or passively involved in terms of sport. We have a bill that we are sure the 9th Parliament is going to push on, which covers our key area, which we call the Sport Integrity Bill. And that really covers a lot of issues which are to do with competition manipulation, which is found within the sport, issues to do with safeguarding or making sport clean. And when we make sport clean in so many areas that could that have to do with issues to do with cheating. And cheating comes from clubs, from schools, from everywhere else, because we would want to have that mentality of winning at all costs. We also want to make sure that issues to do with corruption are covered under that bill, so that we criminalize issues in areas where these issues are breached. Violence is also an area that makes our sport not clean, because safe and clean sport is something that is free of issues to do with violence. So it is against that background that as the 9th Parliament is in session, our lawmakers are going to prioritize the issue of the Sport Integrity Bill, which will assist all of us. We will also assist the law enforcement to make sure that we are backed by law in terms of all these other areas. So we want to wish you, as the SRC, also as government, that you have seen it fit, and I'm sure this is a national platform, events director, that is covering the whole nation, not only this part of the country. So if it is a national program, let's put our thoughts together and speak openly. Let's speak openly the issues that we can come up with that will see our sport clean. As also residents, let's also speak openly on issues that we desire, because we want sport as well. It brings a lot of business around our communities. How would we do it so that at least our lives are enhanced through sport? As direct sport clubs, what is the wish that we require possibly from central government to do? What is the pathway that we expect that government should take as a leading in terms of making sure that our sporting environments are free and are conducive? As security agents that are here, how do we fuse all our skills that we do have with the clientele sport so that it becomes a free and safe area to go? PSL, thank you so much for allowing that your clubs participate in this event. ZIFA, largely, we also want to thank you for making sure that you are also here. Our City Council, you provide the facilities. You are here today. We highly regard your presence here, and we are sure that as we deliberate, we will all be able to come out a better lot. And when we leave this place, it is my hope, it is the SRC's hope, it is the government's hope that we are going to impact, we are going to influence the constituencies where we come from in a positive way, so that our sport continues to thrive and continue to attract the support, the economic support that we should get as a sport sector. Otherwise, thank you so much for the time you have listened to my few words. I was told to come here and give a vote of thanks, so I think I have been changed when I'm here. I'm sure I said something that makes sense to the opening of this Indaba. May we all be free to communicate.
Thank you, Mr. Jimbo from the Sports and Recreation Commission. Allow me to also introduce the man from ZIFA, the Normalization Committee, Muskumbuzo Ndebele. The beauty about sports and journalism is that we refer to each other on first name basis. So Skumbuzo Ndebele siyakwamukela. We shall continue with the program and have a particular case study. Lizwile besithi bahlala emzilikazi, bahlala duzane le BF next to the stadium. So at this moment, we shall have some few words from them on what it is like to be impacted by violence, and in particular, certain teams when they play at that stadium. So Artist Bazali, the microphone is yours. Sesingati fahla fahla.
Hayi siyabonga kakhulu thina njengathi sihlala phansi kweBarberfield Stadium we encounter a lot of problems nxa kudlala ama teams ona lawa amakhulu okokuthi kuba le distraction property tear gas isispraywa lapha abantu bayagijima besiyangena emayadini abantu. They try to find amanzi so that they wash their faces ukuthi ngabaphambanise emehlweni, and unfortunately bazathothi lamanzi mhlalokho kawakho isithi cancel le watershed ngakulamanzi begcine sebebulela impompi ngoba babelokho bechila impompi lesi, and I think ukuthi amanzi azaphuma nothing comes out, impompi zabantu sezifile. And tear gas yona leyana bagcwala emayadini abantu bayinyathela impida yabantu ukuthi abantu babehlanyela impide ukuthi baziphilise bayathengisa kwesisikhathi impide yana lana bagcina bengaselanto yokuthengisa. And the other issue, there is people that sell outside the stadium khona laphana abapheka izitshwala abathengisa ama drinks and all that stuff bagcina besiba affected begcine bengasayenzanga ibusiness yabo. And at the same time the stadium is closer to the hospital and the second largest referral hospital in Zimbabwe. They are also affected. Ama patients are phuma lapha nesibhedlela, they are trying to get into the hospital. Umuntu vele uyulo kwakhe uyagula sengena ku crossfire violence segula even more. So those are the challenges esihlangana lawo khona lapha around us. And the bad part of it is that you discover ukuthi abantu abayenza violence yona le is not people from Barberfield. If you could check a list yakhathesi of the people above discover why ukuthi they are the ones who caused the violence leyana, you won't find even umuntu weBarberfield oyedwa. So ngama challenges esilawo asihluphayo kakhulu wona lawo eBarberfield kungaba le bhora lona lelo elikhulu. Siyakhathazeka kakhulu ukuthi asilaphisi. Kungansi kungathiwa kulama team ona lawa amakhulu inhliziyo ihlibe emnyama, you are not settled. Size siyesabe lokuhamba ebhoreni lakhona ukuthi uzagcina usuphuma usulimele kumbe sokungokunye okwenzakalayo. So you are my challenges that we face as the residents of Barberfield. Ngiyabonga.
Hayi usekhulumile omunye wethu thine Barberfield silobunzima obubi kakhulu nxa kudlala iHighlanders le Dynamos. Abazukulu bakithi ezwa sebekhala ezindlini sebephandliwe, amanzi kawakho awe kusiyabe sivalelwe amanzi siswele lokuthi siza kwenza njani. Sicela bakithi iDynamos le Highlanders ke kukhulunywe la bengathi bayabambana bakithi bayekela umsindo, sesidiniwe ngomsindo bantu. Siyabonga.
Ngiyalibingelela lonke ngegama lenkosi. Sicela peace between the two clubs, Highlanders and Dynamos. To start off with, police. Ama-police asicela libatshela abanye benu as the bosses ukuthi basemsebenzini yes siyavuma, kodwa they should try and control, because i-tear gas eyayijiwa izingene emayadini ethu. Singazi ukuthi kwakuyikuthi bazama ukuthi beclear yini abantu beHighlanders la beDynamos or it was something else. Siyacela bakithi ngani kuyabambana ngoba i-distraction ebakhona thereafter ibanengi. Abantwana khona okukhulunywa ngabanye bethu babe besebekhala. Those guys, you can't chase them away from your yards because they'll be needing ukuthi begeze i-tear gas leyana. Abanye wawusizwa kuthiwa sebe collapsile stadium. Why? Because ngaba asthmatic and attendance empilo was just something else as well, because abantu base be affectiwe sebele asthma attack through tear gas. amanzi siyabe siwabukele bewathela but siyacela bakithi Highlanders Dynamos sicela libambane ngiyabonga.
Sanibonani. Siyacela ukuthi iDynamos liyayilenda nqabe kube lokuthula. Thina silabazukulu abancane babedlalela phandle. So ibhora nxa seqase sesiqasha ukudonsana labazukulu sibafake endlini. Silezi indlu phezulu emazengeni laphana vele bayachaya amatshe. Izulu nxa sesina selingena phakathi amawindi sigcina sesizifakisela thina sodwa.
Thank you very much. Njoba selizwile what the residents from within the vicinity of the stadium have said. We continue with the deliberations. And at this moment, our next presenter is coming from the Premiership. And that is the Premier Soccer League. In his capacity as the Chief Executive Officer. And his presentation is on event management and stakeholder mandate, role defining on who does what at the stadium. So for now, allow me to give the man with a voice Liana. Ngubaba uKenny Ndebele, ngicela simchayele izandla. And by the way, we did say that this is sponsored by Nokel Security, the key to peace of mind, and they offer the following services: static guards, armed guards, security dogs, cash in transit, CCTVs and alarms, electric fencing, escorts, and crowd control, and undercover guards. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. I'm not sure if this is for recording purposes or I can use my voice. You need it? Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again, Director of Ceremony. I realize here that we have senior government officials represented here by the SRC Rep, Mr. Zwimbo. We also have the ZIFA Normalization Committee member, Mr. Skumbuzo Ndebele, senior commanders from the police and their team. We also recognize the presence of the members of the ZIFA Referees Committee, the club executives, the Highlanders Vice Chairman, and the CEO, the media members. I'm not seeing the security officers from the clubs. So already we have started on a wrong footing because these are key people that we work with as the league. If there is a way of bringing your security guys here, I know some are traveling for football matches, but would have expected them to be here. We also recognize the presence of the sponsors, the Nokel Security sponsorship that has made us to be here. We also recognize our residents. The supporters representatives from Highlanders and Dynamos. Of course, I haven't seen Chicken in. They've only one supporter. I don't know why McLeod is not here. And then I will also want to recognize the media. The media play a key role in our football development. As the Premier Soccer League, we are the competition organizers. So we will need to engage, but we are very thankful that we have a platform where we will have to discuss. Kono ufuna Melus. Okay, thank you. We're just going to do a PowerPoint presentation, but while the technician is working on this, we'll probably be talking. I would have preferred to speak without a mic so that Sizwanane kuhle kuhle, Labechova Mbayewa and everyone else. When you go to football matches, I know we are live and there will be a lot of comments and they'll be saying things that people don't like to hear. So if you don't like to hear something, just close your ears. But there are just two rules that we take home or we end this workshop. Right? The first one is that when you go to a football match, expect 3 results: win, lose, or draw for your team. And the second one that we take home, whether we like it or not, the referee's decision is final. If you don't agree on that, Mr. Ngube, bengahamba nkhaya. All the problems that we are talking about, if we don't agree that the referee's decision is final, and if you came to this workshop thinking you're going to say a lot about referees, you can then change your points, but the decision is final. And if you think your team will win all the 34 Kaslaga Premier Soccer League matches, try and play it on your phone. Do not happen. Because every coach wants to win the championship. Every club wants to win the championship. Every club wants to survive relegation. So lapha singabuya sitshelana manga ukuthi ureferee wathini nxa ububhale phansi ukhansele vela akusoze kutshintshe lutho. Our football as Premier Soccer League, unless nxa ufuna ukubukela elinye endola, uhambe endola kwendola kona ngale silama team akusela amapolice emagemini ethe Division 2. Because people know that there's a winner and a loser. But for us to then say we want 400 policemen, and after all, you then fight a BF Litilize, Selsia Palace. Kuze Goose. Likita lonke foot, blue and white, black and white, and yellow, angwazi, chicken in Mbelikogan. So, Lapa, I think when we leave this place, we must agree that football is just like a palace. It's just like a gochikomir, where you drink, you look for your car using a remote control at 4 a.m. But you are still safe. And now we want to make a football environment even more difficult. So I think we agree then that that's our expectation. I'm not sure if we are ready with our presentation. Okay. Having said that, the Premier Soccer League is run ngama rules and regulations. So if you take your time to go to the PSL site or just send an email to PSL who get the rules and regulations. The person who crafted these rules and regulations, I think he had seen almost every impossible thing. Though in Zimbabwe sigcina senze ezinye izinto vele wasoze uzithole ku textbook. Umangala ukuthi umuntu lo khathi ufike njani khona. Nxa esechaya isamasote center ground. Sika manet. Immediately I will ask you what's your comment, value your comment done. Because you have never come across that. You go to any book, because we do the impossible. So basically as the Premier Soccer League, our role, having been mandated by ZIFA and mandated by the SRC, we are required to organize football matches. And by the organization, it means there must be a plan. And the result of any organization of a football match is you must have a successful event is measured by making sure that people are safe and there's security without damage property. So that the following week you are able to play. For our league matches, we host 306 matches per season, excluding cup games. So for us to then have one not completed every other season, it's an indictment on our part. And not only as the league, but as a Zimbabwean family. Imagine in this day and age, people are waiting to watch a game. The broadcaster has booked a van, has brought in camera staff, and people are expecting that from 3 to 5, they are watching football on TV. And then 38 minutes, there's breaking transmission. Match is over. Like I said, that the referee's decision is final. If the referee decides that the match is over, don't call PSL and say, can you tell the referee to restart? If in his opinion feels it's not secure, the game will not proceed. And if it doesn't proceed, then it's decided at a disciplinary hearing. So this was just a feeler. Any comment?
Two. Thank you. Siyabonga mhlonishwa for a good address. Thina singabathandi bebhora and siyayithanda i-peace. Ikakhulu iHighland abakithi ngiyayithanda. Le team ohamba layo almost wonke ama game eZimbabwe. And honestly nxa ngingathandana lo msindo, I'm sure angisoze ngikwanise ukudlula eGweru. Angisoze ngikwanise ukufika eZishabane. Kade ngizahamba njani eWange. eHarare kufikeki. So I love peace. Ngoba ngifuna ukubukela team yami idlala. Ngizafisa ukuthi ngenze konke esibili. Kodwa nje njoba ubaba ethethulana ku comment eyami comment enkulu ikona lapha ekuthini nxa ifuna ukuthi singasa comment ngabo ref. For sure asamela ngasibe lapha. Ngoba we have seen a lot of decay that
platform yami hlala phansi. Bonano lokhu sibisele emuva. Siqedile leyo ndaba. Liza commenta kubo social media. Lapha siqedile. So that's our vision, to be the leading self-sustaining and competitive league in Africa that transforms lives. So doing us transform our lives as the thing is queerly. The people at Baba Fields in Ngowenja Lemziligas, football must make them happy. When you have got your biggest game of the season, you should be ready to get business pleasure and lama tourist abuya athi cela ukubona nje ukuthi kade eMzilikazi lapha iroom yakho le ephandle injani. Ubabhadalise nje. Ake sele babhadalisa amanzi okugeza ngoba balethe smoke. The mission is to promote elite football competition platforms and promote the PSL. So lapha Mr. Indaba ngizawucela usondele ngalo kwenza ukuthi la usuza ngicorrect mbamba ukuthi ubone umele usizasiza khuluma. To promote the elite football competition platforms and promote the PSL brand for the benefit of its members and stakeholders through our programs and activities. So njengama residents ngama key stakeholders football. Police ngama stakeholders, supporters are stakeholders, sponsors are stakeholders. You are a stakeholder too. The values are integrity, excellence, innovativeness, and professionalism. Uyafuna ucomment futhi? Lokhu safuna ucomment? Yeah, all right, uza comment mbayimbayi mina ayisime ngiqamba abantu. Okay, so when we organize our football, those are the documents that we use. Your PSL statutes, which is the constitution, and the PSL rules and regulations, which are clear. Lokane lokusola akubhalwanga lapha. Bhala ukuthi team ewina 3 points, team eluzayo 0, i-draw i-1. And nxa usungene wangene ground wajikijela thine team yakho sidonsa 2000. Nxa selithe kona liyesaba ukuthi okwakusenziwa ngabothana kudala ukuthi kuthiwa lapha kufakwe something uyahamba uyeqa igate ungene ground yi-2000. Ukuthi uyule uniform engelabizo at the back or i-logo as you see there, fine. Ukuthi after the match the coach refuses to address the media ngobudliwe, fine. The club I coach her la fine. So all these are found here, but because anginikwanga isikhathi sonza khuluma linjele ngaseqedile ukulalela. Okay, so I was asked to talk about event management. Ama-matches at my event. I know generally you think event management ngabantu abalungiselela imchato. Le to ima football matches imchato. And imchato yethu kufanele siyefike kusikeni cake. But nxa kuyikuthi asasika ngecake because o auntie bakamakoti sebesilwa lo auntie labo malume ebochata so kule problem. So football is an event that requires leadership, that requires organization and control. It requires discipline and their timelines. And we need to communicate, plan, and then deliver the event. By delivering the event, we must leave the stadium. The match has been played. There is enough room to allow for coaches to do post-match interviews. There is room for our cameramen to fold their equipment and go home. It's a pity that this year we had death in the stadium and only discovered 2 days later. So our event management process, we had a problem and it shouldn't happen. And here we're not here. My acceptance to come here was that we are not coming here for blaming anyone. We work as a team. We deliver as a team. And we must always do that. The leadership will lead us and then we control. Okay, so the process has to do with the accreditation. Entry into our football matches is through paying or using an accreditation. We give our security teams, police, our compliance officers, a lot of headaches by coming to the stadium without money, without a valid accreditation card. And ngekwabuya le card le resident association utufuna ukungena. And ungakwabuya le card lakho lemsebenzi utufuna ukungena. You will understand why we do that. I think lonke nxa lingena tower block lisiya complaina ngamanzi liyabhala phansi amabizwe. Uthi building lani ngawa sibe kwazi ukuthi bekulo bani wemzilikazi phakathi. So accreditation yikuthi abantu abafanele benze umsebenzi abe media, ama sponsors bethole accreditation. Right. Then brand management and protection. We play our football because of sponsors, advertisers. So when we talk about sponsors here, we're not talking about Castle Lager, Premier Soccer League only. You've got your Sakunda, you've got your Chicken Inn, you've got your Triangle, you've got your Mines. So we need to protect those people. Marketing and licensing. We spend so much money marketing. And when we market, we are saying we have, for in this particular case, because it's about Dynamos and Highlanders matches, it's your biggest match, one of the biggest matches in the league. When sponsors are coming, some are putting touchline banners, some are doing this and that, and the game doesn't end. So you understand then that you lose money. And then you call and say, the sponsorship you are getting, the money is too little. Size and half of it, the sponsor one day will come to you and say, you Sakunda, say, okay, the match didn't go up to half time. Give us back the money that we gave you. Give us half. For that particular day that the match didn't take place, give us back the money. Lina Dubele abeselile a clubhouse, Gita. Ngapa, I'm an executive now, they have a headache. And once we have those things, we have to do reports, we have to state what happened, and you must explain. Zifa will call, they want a report. SRC will call, they want a report. And you are called at 7, and the report is 7 p.m., and the report is required at 8 a.m. So you understand, Tano, with a salary. Okay, media operations. A ground pagat. Ama supporters are vunyela. Kuvunyela ma media persons abe lama paper. Photographers, they've got beeps. So in simple terms, akulo omunye umuntu ovunyelwa ukuba phakathi laphana ukudlala ibhola ngaphandle kwama player, labo coach babo, labe media bonaba ababhaliweyo kuphela. Any other person or celebrating in a ground, kumngavela ubona usunyathela nje utshani usuqamula umthetho webhola. Whether you are a celebrator, kumbe you are protester, kumbe uyalwa, kumbe uchayisa amasothi, silonga ama video lapha siza play ngxenye nqangi lesikhathi libona ukuthi abanye bathaba njani. So medical services, we can't start a match without an ambulance. And in some countries, you cannot start a match without 20 ambulances. Because kula ma injury, contact sport, kula abanye bona bese sibatshela ukuthi referee's decision is final. The only thing ongayenza kuphela ukucela iambulance ukuthi inhliziyo yakho sichaya kakhulu. Yikho ngakwenza ngeambulance. Kodwa ukuthi uthi wena usufuna ukuyabamba ureferee. Hayi lokho uyabe usufuna ukuthi ama stadium actually in Europe vela alama cell park inside, where after the ubengakubamba uvalelwa khonapho uzaphuma ngemandi ususiye court. Planning and project management, communications, very critical that communicate. Protocol, there's a protocol that we need to follow. And then delegation services and event services, lokho into kwenzakala phakathi ground. Then okuqhakathekile security. Security ayifanele ngiprovide is a therapy only. Clubs must have stewards or marshals. Zakhuluma la ngawo marshals mbayimbayi. I'm not too sure ukuthi babizile la. Yeah, marshal. The marshals are here. From Highlanders, where are marshals? So marshal lo siyamazi lo ngwe PA system. Okay, we'll move fast. So in order to organize a successful, safe and secure event, there is need to have a joint planning and collaboration of key stakeholders. So we work as a team, like we are here. It's only that we just have a half a day. We're going to do a dummy pre-match meeting and arrange. Now that the residents are also key, The club representatives are key. So you need to meet transport organizers. I know you complaining about supporting, but when you bring people to the matches visibly drunk, you are bringing us problems. And ngomthetho vele umuntu owehlule kukuma, police must stop. He must just sleep kutsho vambayo limtshela ama results afterwards. So udubo wabalalo nguwabuye uluthwele. All right, so we're looking at the finance and admin, the sponsorships, food and beverages. Right. After all this problem esabalayo, even before, sizalista lapha into ezingavunyelwayo background. Ngoba sabona amabhakede amazambane seyiwajikijela amapolice. Inqola kama ice cream broken yesi misai. So kwakathesi lizabatshela be residents seliyathengisela emagedini ngikhaya. Ama dragon lana yayibuya lenjengo elithumela abantwana abangaka bemzilikazi bebelokhu beyifaka lapha besicela kuma residents meeting likhulume ngayo. One ubamisa umntwana utshwala, two utshwala bakhona buvele buyingozi, three usubuzo odakisa abantu abathi bengahluphana lamapolisa kuthela itheka sikuwe. Then silicela ngapha, asicela kini khona ngapha. Bafona kathesi ukuthi noma besempeka amazambane manje ngenzeni. Sithi hayi akathesa kwamazambane asavunywa ibhakede lakho salibona ku TV selichaya amapolisa. Anyway siza kuqamba okunye okungavunyelwayo lapha. Okwama relations, the transport okwakathesi lapha likubona kuphela but manje ngifike ngibonana isikhathi sethi silutshwana kwizinto ofanele sizenze. Ama stadium owners labo enxekona bezakhuluma. Ama-gate lana avuliweyo lana avulelwa ukuthi lingazonda lingene ground. Avulelwa ukuthi kungaba le problem kumbe kulano sokusenzakala kumbe kule nyosi ezikhona. I-police command lama club security labo match commissioner will arrange ukuthi ama teams aphuma ngene ema dressing rooms. Then ama fans abuye azokuma eground ukuze kube right. But kade si reverse. I-pitch invasion yayingekho ucingo lusesephezulu le. I-FIFA yathi kakwehle kuye phansi kube lama gate ukuthi liphume yiwa ama emergency gate. Emabhasini anje kufakiwe i-exit emuva. Amabhasi akudala ebhalwe njalo. Which in case of emergency break the panel. Of course na utsho vumbayo selafaka amazenge lapha emuva. So ama indawo lana iyenzelwa lina for your security. So this is why amagede engakhiwa. So ama marshals must make sure that people understand this and must make sure that abantu kabangene ground. Bezokhupha amanet, ezochaya press up center, ezochaya ama self egijima. Zakugcina ngayo yena leyo lizayibona nxa imthini wami uzavu. So SRC by expect ukuthi silungisa izinto. So nxa silama pre-match meeting baba khona. Zifa baba khona. PSL clubs bakhona. Ama fan represent ngama clubs. Right. So we have to work together. Bonke ama parties. And kube le commitment ukuthi nxa siye emhlanganweni sisebenza sonke. One more comment khona omunye ufuna ukukhuluma something. Isikhathi sami sincane. Mreo. Must ask you.
I seen on that video, big rocks like this were thrown at policemen. And how do those rocks enter the ground? How do those rocks enter into the stadium? When you got force on the outside and on the inside.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Just voice test. So we're saying a pre-match meeting is held a day or a few days before the match and is attended by key stakeholders, the service providers. This is a key meeting for the organization of the match and it discusses match logistics, including security issues, like the number of gates to be opened, gates opening times, security officials, cashier deployments, as well as the state of the stadium. So when we have this meeting, Mrewa, we agree that we will not allow any missile or potential missile inside the stadium. We must make the day an event, not just a match. Customer service and quality. We must not assume that fans misbehave, but based on our own risk assessment, we must always be prepared. Only target those that are unruly. So there's a big rock, must not come to the stadium. There is a chap who comes in, can't even walk straight, must not come to the stadium. There's a chap carrying 2 bottles of, I don't know what name is there. We'll try in Tola. Angijong eskiwa bona abakwenzayo abantu benzane. Nkuleo. Okay. Some call it hot stuff. It's not allowed anyway. So you target those ones. But we need to treat fans as we wish to be treated. We treat fans with respect. But any respect, it can't be one way. You must be treated with respect. You must also respect the official. It's a requirement that all our PSL matches, there must be a PA system, public address system. So if the vice chairman takes the microphone and say to the fans, please stop whatever you're doing, they must respect the leader. The leader has spoken and he knows his team is going to maybe come back from 2-0 or 3-0. But he's also frustrated. He thinks we are now sinking 6-0, so he leaves it. All right. Sengu faka kumute. Be friendly to the fans and be helpful. Respect. So some of the key things that make a difference is stewarding, the marshals. Of course, we will need to talk about that outside this meeting because some of them have been marshals since I was a club official in 2000. So that's about almost 23 years. So this man has got children who are now supposed to be marshals and grandchildren who are supposed to be marshals. So we'll talk about that later. It's not for this platform. Policing, police have to work with stewards. Cleaning, yeah, we have to clean our venues. Of course, you have seen the Japanese trying to do a bit of showing you how it's done. In the maintenance of the stadium, security, segregation of fans. Segregation is, you know, your Soweto, you don't go there with your blue and white, and then you don't go to Mpilo End or Mpankwen. So you need to segregate the fans. And then going forward, I guess, when we've got these big games, we'll need to rehearse, proper rehearsal. And then obviously after rehearsal, and there's an event, we need to review. Yeah. Objects which may be used as weapons or missiles, such as flag poles. I know what you don't agree with me. Camera single stands, tripods, sticks, boxes, cooler boxes, push carts, buckets, cans, plastic boxes are not allowed. At times we say, okay, let's do this, let's allow them this and that. But the moment we relax on one small item, it becomes a security risk. So we need to understand that you are going to a football match, at FIFA World Cup matches, even a pen. You are told to put it in the bin, or if you don't mind, you can stay away. Just like they do, go play. Playing away ambelo whiskey lokungaka bakucela bakuthathele manje yakwazi thula bacela ukuthi singakufaka lapha kumbe awukati so uzachoose la ukuthi uzasala ukati isigelo. So large amounts of luggage or large size luggage such as ice chests and suitcases. Any other objects in the judgment of the security. Okay. Any other objects in which, in the judgment of the security personnel, obstructs the conduct or progress of the event, or which are or may be of a nuisance or danger to other people. Wawala ukukhupha ama speaker akho wabantu bekutshela ababoni asichiye njalo sihle sayiqeda umnyaka wonke kuyaze kwevalwa next year asikwazi timbani umnikazi wawo. So the whole process of event management obviously goes with planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting and budgeting. Lonke liyakwenza lokho ezindlini. Budgeting umama ngoyokwenzayo kumbe umbani oyenza planning yakho. So we must also do it ku football. We do risk assessments on the venue, crowd, ticket strategy. Unfortunately, we're still selling tickets on match day. And this is what CAF, FIFA have been talking about, that we need to do pre-sales, electronic ticketing and bucket seats. The beauty about the pre-sale ticket is that now taking a ticket, ibizo lakho le address, le number esithupha, uzayifaka nje obukwenza kuyikhokheshi yakho. I-bucket seat yabibhaliwe kulokho laphana kuhlezi ukutsanzira kuliyani rock siyangala. So it makes life easy for the police to visit you after the match nkhaya. Ungazi ungalala ngakhona babuya ngeWednesday. So zofanele uhlale udlile because and ungaba used to it like our choma bacha is izikhwama. Ungazi ufike police station bona bayakwazi benzani. Khuphi ibhanti, khuphi isicathu. Wena bayabe kubambe ngalo ibhanti beqalisa ukukutshela. So pre-sell tickets, we hope very soon we'll come up with that bucket seat. You'll be able to have your own seat and you identify it with long band, one number. Okay, crowd management plan, which we do with security. Communication, in this day and age, all your Facebook pages, your Twitter, we communicate, we must communicate and we must communicate effectively. And then emergency plans, medical plan, how to evacuate. So at times, if umuntu efuna ukupaka imoto yakhe ku passage eBaba Fields, how do we then take out a player xa isilimele ukuthi esibhedlela? And uyabusitshela ukuthi wena ungubani. Usumbuza ukuthi awungazi, ngiyakwazi kodwa lapho phaka khona imoto akuvunyelwa. Kumbe iTTI sofanele ibuye le BF. Zingapakanga kuhle ezibona ukuthi benzani ngazo. And then away supporters, normally when we use our PA system in case of a problem, the police or who's in charge will then communicate with away supporters. Ordinarily must remain inside the stadium and allow the other supporters to move and then escort the supporters and maybe the away team. Lo kana bele phone alisithi vele indaba be protect hayi umthetho ubhalwe phana so siko kwami lo. Event evaluation, pre-games, research and evaluations, lokana sabe sikwenza, senza le feasibility study. Ya lokho ngesijalo ukupresenta kwabantu abaye befuna ukubhala ama certificate lapha senilibhowa. So lokana senza kuchiyela lokho linafuna ukuzwa kuphela ukuthi sifuna ukwenzani. The plan is to craft a safety and security manual for use during matches. And maybe enactment of laws that deal with violence and hooliganism at football matches. I'm not too sure ukatesi ukuthi umuntu ojikijela ngambamba ubhatala how much. Chief Ruben, it's how much? How much is it? $20 to $30. Ungcono vele SRC ku-act khona phana lifaka ukuthi umuntu akangani uyalala phakathi kweviki akasixolele mbijana. Ukhona le objection for enforcing that? Because I think kulula kakhulu ukuthi uyajikijela kufana lo muntu obanjwe eshebhini. So kufanele kube lama measures azwayo. Of course the infrastructure will deal with the infrastructure. Amfuna ukuthi ngilibhowe kakhulu. Just last one lapha. Mr. Ncube. Ungabona isihlobo sakho lapha usitshela ukuthi uhlala nga. Steward ngiyedwa manje bona lwana uthwele isikhwama sakhe sokuye ekhaya after the match. So uya steward athini lapha. Lithe abakho abemzilikazi lapha lizababona manje lizabona umalukazi. So la lisezindlini la engakwazi ukwenzakala so phakathi. So amapolisa ayenzeni la? Ayenzeni amapolisa lapha? Njani? Lafika njani? Uthi present or past tense? Ubuza ukathesa ukuthi sifika njani umbuzo lafika njani lapha? Hayi. What is important ukuthi uzakuzo sitshela wena. Ukuthi lafika njani khona phana. Anti uthe uyisupport enkulu. Ikuthi esikhathi uboss ncabe buya lapha ngale balazo ezenyaweni. Wena uzabuya uzokuma lapha kathesa nisuka usitshele ukuthi lafika njani. Okay. Umalukazi ngalimbonde. By 2. By 3 kulalwana ukhapha umuntu we-ice cream. La lo jikijela matshe ukuthi wathethe ngapha egqoka ishort. La lo tendereka echai selfie. Ngomalukazi nabemzilikazi PF. Unless so inhlanhlabeni kababotshwa ngomalukazana bafika bapheka pho. Twalibhora. Yabona konke lokho kanophansi lokho akufananga ube khona yesithi ngama missile ama potential missiles. I know lina ngale lalisola amapolisa lina lalingenza lapho. La baba lo Musa izinto lezana zingabamba umphimbo kuvele ukuzidakele nje ngenjengo. Sibeyakhala futhi i trunk liyane ensimbi lana esifaka. So ba complain to we protect our police. Hey, so uza kwenzani ngawo? Bonke abantu labali abazi lapha. Kodwa singathi nangu yena umalukazi. Nangu umalukazi nawo. Uyamazi. Lokuthi ujikani, kuthi uthi wabuye kuthwele. Lo ngwemzilikazi akuvela kuna way yangawo ngisebaba. Lingamuse Country Park but ngowenu. Lithi abantu bonke labalali bazi bonke laba Thulani. Kati kocho bambaye ngama customer la na. Ayisenjani? Ke wena ngwesiza kuxotsha ku workshop. Ayisinto esivumeleneyo first. Anyway, bentenza kubiza ukukhuluma but mbona into ozayikhuluma uzozutshintsha u reform. I think I've taken more than what you had allocated, though you didn't allocate time to me. So thank you very much.
It was in his capacity as the Chief Executive Officer or PSL asimchayeleni izandla njalo. So the whole idea now is just to have a plenary session. Xa lo mbuzo ofuna ukubuza kuba bundebele ungabuza, but let's us be progressive ngoba sifuna ukuthola ama solutions anjo phela. So khathesi, if you have a burning question, the floor is yours. I'll take the first question. I'll take the first three. You can ask.
Siyabonga. Siyabonga. Into kade ngifuna ukuyicela kumhlonishwa uMr Ndebele. Ikuthi siyabona umsindo suqalisile. Amagesi lawana ama exit gates amakhulu. Labana bayebelezi key zokuvula amagesi lawana uthi thina abantu sikwanisa ukubaleka sibe ku safe side. Baye bengabi like ama damages amanye akozelwa eBF. It was through abantu sebeshela ukuthi bona baphume nganga like iVIP stand indawo ehlonitshwa kakhulu kuya kulabantu abachiyeneyo abahloniphekayo. We ended up tina lathi sesizama ukuthi siyophuma la khona ngale, of which sathola futhi amagesi evaliwe kwazobulawa ijurawo ukuthi abantu bakwanisa ukuphuma lesikhala sejurawo ukuthi sikwanisa ukubaleka. Siyacela ukuthi khona nxa kungaba lomsindo amagesi lawana avulwe abantu bakwanisa ukuthi babaleke for safety. Siyabonga.
Thank you. Debelano Garagarare. Right, I'll take the next one. You can pass the mic.
Yeah, thank you. Umbuzo wami Baba Ndebele uthi as PSL kungaba asithi kube lo muntu obochweyo a hooligan has been arrested by the police. Do we make ama follow-ups of case lay uthi ihambe njani iphelele ngaphi njalo who becomes the complainant, and akula yini any other means ezokuthi like as PSL you make a follow-up of even considering suing the person thereafter, because we know ukuthi amapolisa ayakwanisa ukubamba umuntu ahambise kumbe court, but the laws maybe umthetho is very lenient to the perpetrator or the hooligan. But as PSL, you can then make a follow-up of suing that person, that hooligan. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the last question, first round of questions.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Of particular interest, you highlighted the issue of planning go presentation yakho, sir, but of particular interest is I want to understand as the Premier Soccer League, ukuthi, what other programs do you have for clubs in terms of training ama club officials? Because in these games, I've observed this for the past years. Ukuthi, this thing starts from the coach. Utoto coach is inciting players to behave in a certain way. Toti player likona ngele Islanders or ngele Dynamos, they are mobbing the referee. It starts from those guys, because they are also responsible for causing crowd trap. Because when our supporters see Uguti, here is our captain, is there mobbing the referee, Sebe Piana, they are influential players. We have seen Uguti, even players have become more influential than club officials. Uramania kwanso suga la pana fikati ema support in Tulan. Esugu mucheme nusiziba la pana fikati bangamlaleli bamchikiche. So what is it that is being done to train ama club officials, coaches and players? Kule program ini engayenza ukuthi bona labana kube yibo bokuqala ukuthi bazama ukuthi they do not incite into igame isanda uqalisa sokusekuliwa sejika izandla kumbe ngubani already ama supporters they are now, you know, sebeqasa ukuvukela ama match officials, and then the situation becomes tense. So what is it that is being done to educate ama club officials labo? I-program yangikhona cascading down to the coaches and players.
Over to you, Mr. Ndebele.
Okay, if first one, I think we'll discuss with the police in terms of the evacuation plan or emergency plan opening of Amagate. But from our side, it's a very pertinent contribution. Though at times then ungavula futhi labana baphandle babuya sebethwela amatshe ade buzomreo. But it's important for security because ordinarily, like I said, a place for safety should be khona phana kathi sokulomsindo. So, and I said earlier on, ezinye izinto kuma textbook ethu zabe zingasekho manje. Ukuthi where you're supposed to move, and maybe we should communicate more. We'll discuss with the club security officers and the police, where you will then be given instructions what to do.